JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Friday's September 20th, about 3:15 here. Just gonna talk really quick. I don't even have all the charts up. Kind of a frustrating end to the week after the Fed. Uh, Yesterday the markets rallied and the names I was we're doing well up to the Fed, kind of fizzled while the rest of the names that I wasn't in rallied, and then similar situation here today. And some of the kind of hanging in there. Redfin looked like it was going to start to break out, and then I mean, it's still green, but it was at $14. Looked like it was ready to go. Clear Secure, that one's probably going to close at multi-year highs again, but it not moving much, barely in the green here today. So not much really to talk about. Also, overall market in the way of catalysts over the weekend. I'm sure there's, like I've been saying, there's be a lot of uh, folks reading their newspaper, their Sunday morning paper, right? And it's going to be all about what does the Fed 0.5% rate cut mean to them. And I think a lot of it's going to be about housing and refinancing and all that. So I'm just surprised that Redfin hasn't really started to take off. But then, the stock is up so much over such a short period of time. Is some of that baked in? I don't know. All right, so individual names. But first, I'll just go to VKTX. And the irony of VKTX is it finally broke over $70. I've been waiting to add some more strikes. Once it broke 70, and what does it do? It does the day my September strikes expire. The plan the whole week and the week before was I was either going to add strikes on the break over 70 or add it on the Friday of option expiration. And sure enough, the day it goes over the day it goes over $70 is the day of option expiration. So this morning you had NVO, which they did an acquisition of a company that does a CB1 inverse agonistic, whatever you call. Sorry, I'm a tongue twister, but it's different than GLP-1, but it is something that's supposed to suppress appetite. It's a weight loss drug or possible solution. So they came out with their phase 2A study, which showed some good weight loss, but there was a lot of adverse effects, anxiety, depression, irritability. There was also intestinal events as well. Nothing, not strong enough or severe enough to have people drop out of the study, but enough that they have to do a phase 2B study now, and that's not going to get started till next year. So if there's some overhang in the space for companies like VKTX, Interns, GPCR, Altimmune, it's because of all the possible competition that's going to come to the market at some point. So that kind of removes, I wouldn't say removes completely a headwind, but it actually pushes out possible more competition. So it's a good thing. And that's some of the reason why you saw VKTX soaring. I wouldn't say soaring, but it was over $70 in the pre-market. Finally went and got my strikes and it's trading. I just want to see it close over $70 here today. There was also that piece in, I don't know if it was the Wall Street Journal, talking about the price war for GLP-1 drugs and Zepbound and Monjarno, whatever the names are. They're cutting their prices, and the direct consumer for Eli Lilly, that's taking off, and you have consumers. It was a big supply issue. Now that supply is kind of getting better. Now it's the demand issue, and to help fight that, cut prices, and also it's going to be more attractive for insurers to finally get on board with GLP-1 drugs for weight loss. So that's some of it. Then there's reports in I guess the EU drug aid, what are they called? I forget what they're called, is going to allow the regulators in the EU are going to allow GLP-1 drugs to get use a treatment for heart conditions for people who are obese. So it's kind of similar to what's happening with sleep apnea, right? I mean, people are going to be able to get prescribed for that, but pretty much what they're doing is you're losing weight because it's shown when you lose weight, your sleep apnea, a lot of times, most times it goes away. So anyways, I can go down the line. I've done this over and over again over the last year or so in regards to all the other possible outcomes positive outcomes that come from GLP-1 drugs, including the possibility at some point that it might be used to treat addictions. We've already said reducing cardiovascular events, sleep apnea. Trying to think all the other ones. It seems like every week there's a new one. So as the market becomes more competitive in regards to drugs hitting the market, the total addressable market gets bigger. So it's a win-win for everybody. I keep thinking at some point VKTX, I'm just surprised it hasn't been acquired. Every piece of data comes out from competitors is the adverse effects is worse. or the actual quality of the weight loss is not the same. Even with Turn, and Turn's data was great, I thought. But anyway, rants for other days. Yeah, end of day here. Is that just now? Is Intel soaring right now? I didn't even see that up there. Oh wow. Oh, Qualcomm. Oh wow. Interesting. So it's halted right now. So I guess Qualcomm's interested in Intel. It's funny, Intel's gotten destroyed recently, and they start selling off parts, and the sum of the parts of the company is substantially more valuable than the company's valued right now. So it's not surprising. It's just, of course, I wish it was in Intel calls right now. So anyway, so that's VKTX. Same with Turn. Turn was all the way up near, almost broke through that 1070 handle that it hit and broke and fell yesterday. It's doing the same thing here today, all the way up near 1070, and then just reversed. It's sitting here at $10. I have to think at some point over the weekend, one of these weekends, there's going to be M&A in the GLP-1 space. Maybe this is it. I don't want to be in a spot where I don't have the VKTX calls, because I think if they do get an acquisition, or at least some interest, it's for 130, 140, if not higher. So, all right, that's enough rant on VKTX. Just hopefully it holds $70 here today. Uh, as VKTX, a clear secure. Not much to talk about this one either. It continues to head higher, but albeit not as fast as I would like it to. Uh, I've said this before. It has a 20% short interest, and there's a lot of people who just don't understand the story, or think there's no moat around their business, which you can make a bear case. And I was just putting in the chat room. It sounds like and I've said this over the years, that there's someone who has a big short position has their hands in Bloomberg's pocket, because Bloomberg has come out with 2 hit pieces on the company. The CEO and the company reached out to Bloomberg to clarify some inaccuracies and false claims and report. They refused to do so, uh, and the stock fell on those reports. So one of them was like, I think one person got through security because of a failed retina scan or something like that, and they just made it out to this big, oh my gosh, the clear secure platform cannot be trusted. It's putting our the airline sector as at huge risk. So and then in that breath, that's the last year or the year before they came out with the articles, and now all of a sudden the government is signed up to allow them to do TSA plus. So like, how can you make that argument that you're putting airlines at risk when the FAA themselves are saying, hey, not only are you doing a great job, we're going to let you do our program that lets airline travelers get through security quicker and with less restrictions. Irony, anyway, as some people see, can create a narrative around a name, and you can make a narrative around it, because if you haven't used it, or you don't know much about, you don't know the stakeholders. I've said it, the NFL, I think American Airlines, they're one of the airlines has a stake, which they've been selling, but not selling. I don't think because they don't believe in the story, but it's done so well for them. Anyway, enough rants on Clear. I think over $34, then to 36. Also, yeah, post in the chat room. Knox posted as well, but was it Tuesday or Monday, the 17th? There was a huge, like 3:50 in the afternoon, uh, a huge puts, like out of the money October strikes, 27s, 28s, 29s went through, like 3,000. 3,500 contracts went through on Monday, and then the same thing is happening again today on Clear. I think it's 20,000 puts so far, 21,000 puts, 1,800 calls traded on Clear, and this is a name that doesn't. It's not the most liquid names that out there. I I don't know if it's a condor of some type. I mean, they're out of the money, and if you look, the contracts are the same number of contracts, which ah, anyway, so I mean, you look at it, it's 2,850 contracts of the put October 18th strike, 2,850 of the 29 puts, and then it's 5,700 of the 28 puts. So 2,850 plus 2,850 is 5,700, and then there's also 4,275 of the 27 puts, and these are 25 cents, 40 cents, 5 cents, 10 cents, and these all happen at like 114. So someone had to put an order in. I don't know the whole. I'm trying to figure out the whole. Is it some kind of condor? I'll have to do more research on that. I just the thing is, when you have a large short interest, that I've said it on some of these names, especially the highly shorted names, these short folks have ways of protecting themselves from upside. So this could be one of those trades that they're doing or putting on to protect themselves. All right, so that's clear, secure. And then last but not least, I'll just talk quick about Visa. And Visa ran up after the open. start to fade all the way. Tested the lows pretty much close from yesterday. I went and got the October 4 puts. I got speculative puts yesterday. Those are going to expire. I I uh, I posted in on the private Twitter as well in the chat room. It's more. It's not only is it a hedge for the market. I mean, we're sitting here at all-time highs. The SPY is up. I think it's 1.7% so far this week. Nasdaq's up 1.4%, and at some point there's going to be a pull, and probably no catalyst. There'll be no news. There's, I wouldn't be surprised on Monday if we have more Japan jitters again, right? Someone's going to pull some kind of catalyst. They're going to try and rationalize it, but I think at some point we'll have a little profit taking, and I think the V puts might offer a decent hedge. Not only that, my thought on that whole sector. At some point, what V or Mastercard is going to go on a multi-week, multi-month uh, tumble. And I wouldn't even call it a tumble, but there's going to be a fall. So that's that. I'm trying to think of some of the other names. I mean, Redfin, disappointing turns, still sitting here at 10. Massimo, one of my top 5 stocks, I think it was for last year, the year before. Medical device, they do the the oxygen meter, I forget how to pronounce it. Apple supposedly stole their tech. They actually do a lot of hospital equipment and things like that. So it's not like just that. Company was on a tear. I think they were suing Apple. That Apple had to remove it temporarily from their devices. They found a workaround with the software. Uh, anyway, so here's a company that struggled most recently. I think the CEO's leaving. They have an activist investor came in a couple months ago, and now it looks like they got two board seats. And I mean, once the news came out, the stock started going, and I'm kicking myself. I missed out on the calls only because it only has $5 increments and it's monthly strikes. So when it was sitting at 116, I didn't think it was going to go to 120. So I passed the 120s, and it's 120. I'm like, the 125s are 25 cents, but I don't think it's going to 125. And who knows, by the end of, well, we got 32 minutes left before the close, it might get over 125. So one of those names I was like actually looking to add some. And so last but not least, too, S&P additions. Dell is being added to the S&P. I think PLTR, Plantier, however you pronounce them. So you might see some crazy end of day swings. I almost went and looked to get some lottos on Dell. The 119s were 12 cents before, but I'm probably just going to sit on my hands. It's almost like the worst feeling to enter a weekend is when you get some lottos and they just don't pay out, and then it's like I'm miserable for the rest of the day Friday. So I'll probably sit on my hands, but don't be surprised. Also, Apple was it XLK is getting rebalanced. And last time you had big sell off in Apple, and the reverse was Nvidia and Microsoft. Now I think it's the other way around. They have to sell Nvidia and Microsoft to add Apple. I think some of it's the Berkshire stake, because Berkshire sold all those millions of shares. I don't know how it all works. I don't pretend to know, but there's been some swings, some of these rebalances, and it's triple witching today when we have the expiration of the index futures and individual stock options. So could be an interesting last 30 minutes if someone's feeling a little frisky and wants to throw some lotto money on some names. Dell might be interesting. Apple might be interesting. PLTR might be interesting. And it looks like Intel's going to be interesting here, but it's up 6%. That's it, folks. Have a great weekend. Rock and roll.